Man here, just going through. Got done with one video. I'm going to go on to the next here. And one of the things that people see, and this kind of drives me nuts a little bit, they say that Wolverine is terrible. And at first, I was very disappointed at how Wolverine is. So, as I do, we are going to, we're going to go do our 20-second test with him. So we're going to see exactly where he lacks. One thing I will say is he's good for single targets. So here we're going to come in here. Okay.
Tell me you're not serious about that. Bleeding out here.
That doesn't look too bad. Beat the 30-second test there. So, he's good on durability, and he's good on stabbing things. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at the character himself and see why that worked out pretty good for the 20-second build. Or 20-second test. So I'm going to show you how I got him to work, and maybe it'll rub off on you a little bit. First of all, we have, for starters, his Bloody Sweep. Now, it creates some vulnerability for 6 seconds when you do it, so when you sweep it around, it creates that. That's his AoE. That's the only one of his AoEs that I think is really good. I mean, you can use the claw one, I guess, but as far as he is of a character, he's more of a single target character.
World's greatest archer at your service.
He'll be nice to have in the long run here. Now we're going to look and see. I have 184 points right now. 9 of them weren't even being used. So we're going to head over here. Okay. And we got Bloody Claws. Now this is normally, this is because of one of his talents, but we'll get back to that a little later. This is just basically, he goes, you know, and that didn't create bleed damage. The reason I have him on this one here is he has something called Grievous Wounds, and Grievous Wounds is bleed damage. 4,217 twice per second, which when you're looking at it, it's like 488, 1,000 times going up. So it looks pretty impressive, but that's about 8,400 and what, 34 damage per second. So then you got the initial damage, which is 4,874, the 7,311. It looks cool. It bleeds, you know. It does some incredible damage, and that's why I wanted to do this video, so that I could show people that a single target is what he's good at. And hopefully there's going to be more people out there looking at this video and going, holy crap. So then we're going to go over here to Impale. Now, Impale is nice to have. It's got a nice cooldown to it. Okay, it's my L2X over there. With the help of one of his talents, he now is able to use this, and he has a 100% chance at a brutal strike. Okay, which is awesome. It's awesome. I'm turning that off. Alright, so if you have a brutal strike every time you do it,
hey,
you know, that's where you gotta start with. Then you got, let's see here, brutal damage is an extra 50% on top of it. So if I got, we'll say 2,000 damage, it'll be 3,000 brutal strike damage. So that's pretty cool in itself. It costs 50% of your fury though, so you want to time it right, because in case you get hit, it'll take out all your fury at the same time here. It's really easy to gain your fury back up. Whenever I do it, I use, there's actually a rotation, and we'll get into that a little later here. Um, so that's important. His talents are probably the most important thing while doing this, and that's just me being straight. All right, so then you got Furious Assault, his signature. Now everybody hates his signature. They're like, "Oh, it's terrible," and blah 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 blah. Okay, so you got your next Impale, Run Through, and Tornado deals 35% more damage and gains a 35% crit hit chance, and it stacks up 3 times. That means the damage from Run Through and the crit hit chance could be at 105 if you do it 3 times in a row. That hit chance is so crucial to him as a character. You get 3 charges, so it's like a 15-second cooldown. Alright, and you can use them periodically if you want to try to get other stuff going. But that's a crucial component. Alright, I use Wet Work here. I kind of switch out depending on where I'm at. I use this because I gain attack and movement speed, crit hit chance, damage resistance, so it creates some durability, and it lasts for 10 seconds but has a 30-second cooldown.
Tough to win fights while sitting on my butt.
Sometimes I'll change it out with Unstoppable Beast, which heals me like crazy. 1 second per 100 fury spent. It's a 30-second cooldown as well. I just kind of switch back and forth depending on what mode I'm in. If there's somebody that I think's going to be very destructive and I'm not going to be able to heal through it very well, then I'll actually use Unstoppable Beast. Sometimes, yeah, I mean, it's usually when I think I'm going to get surrounded by a bunch of robots. But as you'll see later on here, there's always a way. It's just sometimes while there's that way, there's a timer on it. So okay, so we got that. We got Rampage here. Now with his talent, let's just put it this way: he attacks 4 times per second while he's in this mode. Okay, and he does it for a channeling of 4 seconds, so that's about 16 hits, doing 5 to 8,000 damage. It restores all my fury, and the cooldown is 12 seconds. So during that 12 seconds, sometimes crap goes down. So there's like 8 seconds in there where you could get hit. That's why when you're in there, you gotta either dodge away or just get destructive, depending on what you're against. It creates some bleed damage in there as well.
Handy.
And we will look at that when we see the talents. So then we're going to go over here. Okay. Now this is why I said the talents are so important for him. Alright. So we got the Hardened Outlook. This is where your bleed effects come into play. Bleeding damage is up by 20% when you hit a bleeding enemy. Okay, so but those claws that he had before that were like not a big deal. Those are the ones where it does the spiral thing now, and it causes bleeding. So this is the reason why it bleeds now, and you want to keep that going when you're doing a single target, especially a boss. You get that going. So, I mean, there's other options here. There is the Fury generation from all sources. So, all these things here, whenever you hit, don't be fooled. All that means is that 10% spending power is damage bonus. You get 10% more hit power, but you get 25% back of what you use on these items here. So if yeah, it's not worth it. I tried it out a few times. Maximum stacks. Fury generated 50 per second. Frenzy gained from the following effects. This thing here is basically stands there, you know, it's a channeling move. not really something
Hey,
that
Logan.
works out. It's where he basically stands still, and you don't want to ever be standing still as Wolverine. So it's actually a really bad idea to have that. Here we got the sweeping. So you got more grievous wounds going on with that move there. And you got the savage slash over there. Creates 20% against enemies. Okay, well, I guess that'd be fine. You got the tornado claw. You get 3 charges instead of 1. And okay, yeah. So when you're hitting it, you gotta have all 3, and it just go like boom, 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 and then the third one does more damage. Not really. I mean, I guess you could use it, but I end up using this one here. And the reason is punishment strike. You use 50% less fury. If you have this, you can actually create more combos involved, and it's always a 100% brutal damage. So you want this because 1, the brutal strikes up by 50%, creates more damage. It's kind of like basically it's his version of the Nutcracker on Squirrel Girl. But it uses fury, and hers I don't think uses. I guess it might use some spirit, but it's not much. But his is crucial. Now we got up here, brutality, grievous wounds increased. From eviscerate, deals 20% more damage for each grievous wound on the enemy. Okay, I mean the move itself really isn't that great, so
Okay.
that's not.
Join me for some
I
target
mean, I guess
practice.
you could have, but then you got this one here. Total damage for everything, 15% damage received, 10 plus 10%. So basically, you're sacrificing your health to be able to add an extra 15% damage. I, on the other hand, like this one. An exorable rampage. So this is what I was talking about with him when he's sitting there slashing and going through. Instead of it costing you channeling fury, you get 100% of that fury back. He is invincible as he fights, and you hit it 100% more damage. So this is like the bread and butter. This is something you proc non-stop to keep your fury up to be able to attack. I love it. You're going against bosses. Bosses can't touch you, nothing. You're just sitting there slashing and jumping around like an idiot. And it lasts for about 4 seconds instead of having a channeling time that sucks all your fury down.
I got this possum in my backyard that's trying to
This right here. Okay. Bloody Claws increase the total damage of your bleed effects by 5% up to 50% for 6 seconds. Maximum stack 6. Bloody Claws is your basic attack. Okay. So if you're sitting there hitting just your normal thing, you want to get it up to 10 so that it does the maximum bleed damage on the enemy itself, and you'll be able to cycle through. And then you do cooldowns, and then you make sure the bleed's up. Cooldowns, bleed that. It's a non-stop function to it. This one here allows 100% crit chance and 50% more total damage. This one here, run through applies vulnerability, increases the damage taken by fury spending powers by 20% for 6 seconds. So when you use it, if you use some fury on top of it, it increases your damage. Yeah.
For the last time, Deadpool. I'm not the kind of vampire who likes to
If you
count.
defeat an enemy with this vulnerability, it resets your run through. I might have to look into that. Because I just knew how much the bleed damage is for him, and it's immense, and it's one of his bread and butter things for single target. But as I'm looking at this, I think it probably doesn't proc as much as what happened there. I think I tested that out, and it really I wasn't generating enough of something. Alright, so Feral Roar, of course. Fury generation from all by 20%. You take 20% less damage. Okay. When you fall below 30%, it automatically triggers Unstoppable Beast. That's actually really good.
Remember that one time we... All right.
But then we got this one here that Wet Work automatically triggers when you hit a boss or mini boss that lasts for 10 seconds. Okay, that works. But this is the one I end up choosing. When your health has been depleted, your remaining fury will absorb fatal damage, preventing death. Now, why I chose this one early on, but I'll probably change it to this one eventually, is there's moves out there that one-shot the characters. And this prevented me from, like, the Hood has this one gun move. And it irritated the crap out of me, but I always kept my fury up with him. And when I did that, he would shoot me, and it would take part of my savagery down, but it didn't kill me. And so it gave me some time to hit the med kit button and do that. Every once in a while, he gets himself in peril because he's close range, and sometimes you need something to prevent some of that. So as of right now, until I can get his durability up maybe a little bit, or some form of defense is up that can handle one shots from some of these guys, I keep that on there just to be able to be safe. But this one here has always been my second, because if I decide to go in and do the rage thing, generation of fury, and itself, and then you got the damage resistance on top of it, which could be useful against certain attacks. Unfortunately, Hood still shot through me when I was trying this one out. So that's why I have the one down here to try to prevent some death. So, and now something important that a lot of people might not realize.
Every vampire you meet has 2 damn ice picks in his mouth.
Okay. So I chose Show of Force. Now the base damage for Show of Force is 25%. Okay. Versus weakened enemy status. If you keep your bleed up on him all the time, you get an extra 25% base damage. So that's what I end up using. And then I'm trying to think here. That's 50 times 3. It's 150. So that I'm trying to think here of whether or not fighting would have been better now. When you're starting off and you're doing the percentages, okay, up until about 150, this might be the way to go because you're just adding 4, and 4 times 6 is 24%. But if I put it in the fighting, then I might have some crit damage on top of that too. So that might be something that changes over time.
What's the weather report, Roro?
You get 0.5% more damage every time you put one of these in. If you really don't have the points to be able to do other things, this is the way to go. I might have to change it now that I went through that. Okay. So, because here is something that you should all know. You go down here, you go to the fundamentals, you drop it slightly, there's your stats, okay. So he has durability and fighting stats. 0.5% crit rating multiplier per rank. Basically, he does more damage with that. You take melee damage better, but you have durability, which has more health and more defenses. So if you're getting hurt really bad, that might be the way to go.
You better point that visor somewhere up.
Let's give this a shot. We are going to put everything we have into fighting. And then... what the hell, why not? Okay. But then I'm also going to show you the reason I think he's the most important person against bosses, like one-on-one bosses then too, and that has to do with well, I'll leave that as a surprise. So we're gonna Angela quick.
Leave me like that again, and there will be heaven to pay.
I'm open for business.
So we're gonna head down here. Okay. And I'm gonna end up going a little slower than usual, but alright. So we come in here. Okay. As you can see, the bleed damage, the amount of AoE damage that goes into that. We're gonna. Okay. See that guy shooting off all that. Alright. So this guy here.
I can't do that, Bob.
Okay. 678,000. Alright. Now we're gonna do that. That's 260,000. That was his impale. Don't go like this. Now, since these guys are beating the hell out of me. Oh no. Okay. So we're gonna hit this here. Now I cannot be touched or hit while this is going on, but as you can see, the type of damage that went into that.
Christmas came early.
And we collect our rewards. Okay, so we're gonna come down to here now. Now this, now that I slowly went through that, okay, so I can actually do that, and as you can see, he's a little more potent. If you want to, you can swing him around a little bit, but he's still getting hit. Oh no, Mr. Bill.
Tell me you're not serious about
Alright. Causes immense damage, and as you saw, it didn't do anything to my health. Now here's his ultimate. This is the reason. Oh, there we go.
No more.
Okay. So every bit of this here, as you can see, the immense amount of damage. I'm just doing my regular hit to it. He hits really hard, really fast. It may not be 7 mil or whatever it is, but he gets the job done. And it lasts a while, yeah. So, not really easy to take him down. He's got his defenses going. He's got his he has his defenses going. He has his offense. He destroys anything he touches very, very fast. So, single target is where it's at. As I pointed out earlier, you got his signature. Signature creates crit and damage on top of it. Whenever that happens, use lunge. You'll get the most damage out of it. There was one time I hit over 1 million off of the lunge itself. If you hit that and then you go the impale, again, you'll get some great damage out of that. Sometimes about 300k, and they proc pretty often, I think. Yeah, because that there is like 15 seconds, and then that there is 8-second cooldown. And lunge is an 8-second cooldown as well. So you just go in there and just, since they are so low, you're able to do them more often. Make sure you use the what is this move called? Rampage. Make sure you have the talent for the rampage so that you can constantly gain up your fury really fast, and so that you can utilize it for other things. The 4 seconds, instead of channeling it, you just kind of have it going, and it will save your life. Okay, that thing will save your life on more than one occasion, and you'll thank me later. So that's it. If you got any other questions, just leave it at the bottom of the page. And C-Man out.